But now we are getting ready for the Hake Report. It is 9:01 a.m. U.S. Pacific Daylight Time here in Los Angeles. Tuesday, the 17th of August, the year of our Lord, 2021 AD, Anno Domini. And guys, I do have another Christian punk rock song to play for you. Not too long, so bear with me, guys. I'll talk you through it. This is from 121 from the year 1998. When the Dragon is Finally Laid to Rest is the name of this album. We're going to play this song, Going Home. Going Home. Going Home is the name of this song from 121. Bear with me. It's not too long. And we'll get started with the show and talk to you guys on the phone. So enjoy. It's supposed to be kind of like we're going to heaven. Or so these guys think or thought. So here's 121, Going Home. Enjoy, guys. And we'll have the lyrics on the screen for you. No! Punk rock is Antifa music, says Baron Von Balls. Yeah, fair point, fair point. But anyway, guys, let's get right on with the show!
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Hey, guys!
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
So, how are you guys doing? I am fine. I wanted to quickly, before we get started here, I wanted to quickly read a super chat from Bible Go-To Guy, about, hold on, let me retweet this, because I want to retweet my show. I like to do that. About yesterday's song from 121, which talked about Break Down the Walls. It was the last song that I played on the Hake Report yesterday. Break down the walls, knock them down. And this was 1998, so it's not necessarily a reaction against our real president, Donald J. Trump's call for, we need a wall. But it's somewhat reminiscent of the Antifa aesthetic of no borders, no walls, no USA at all. It's not even an aesthetic. It's a dumb, false value. They hate America. They hate decency, right? No borders, no walls, no USA at all. But these guys, they mean well. 121, this Christian band, supposedly Christian band from like Philadelphia. I think they're like maybe Jewish. I'm not sure. Kevin, something Klein, Klein. I hear that that's appropriated from the Germans. But anyway, I saw this super chat. He said, what is that song talking about? The new buzzword. And, you know, it's this false claim of, oh, don't be racist, guys. Anything different. We're so blah, 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 whatever. The new buzzword to hate seems to be walls, says Bible Go-To Guy. As I recall, the kingdom of heaven has a pearly gate, which implies the logical extension of that fact, the gate, is that there is a wall around the kingdom of heaven to keep the evil demons out. You don't need a gate if you don't have a wall, or a gate would be somewhat pointless, right? Makes me think that these guys might have been liberals or kind of suckers for that thing. Like nobody, who even thinks, oh yeah, let's judge people based on their race and put up a wall. No, it's because the people of the other races don't have our values. And that's quite obvious if you just look around. Duh. So anyway, even the imaginary races have their favorite blacks. And even the anti-racists hate the blacks who don't agree with them. Duh. So it's based on the spirit. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you because it was a reaction to that last song on the Hake Report, Break Down the Walls. But I still like this group, 121. I like their energy. Great and innovative chord progressions, as somebody pointed out. Sarcasm, guys, sarcasm. I will get to your calls. Hang tight, guys. People calling in about the men's conference still and about other items. Nick in Maryland wants to ask, why do we have dual citizen Israelis? I think we have dual citizen everybody. I could be mistaken. It's an interesting question. But first, let me tell you about this evil woman. And you guys called in about it. Some of you guys may know more about this than I do, but I saw it on Twitter trending. Amy Barrett. They call her Amy Coney Barrett. That Coney is her maiden name. So many of these women change their maiden name to be their middle name or something. She didn't hyphenate it. But she wanted to keep her name and her maiden name. She's married, has children, and also has adoptive children. And she pretends that she cares about black people because she has black adopted children. And yet she supports the fake idea of Black Lives Matter. Sucker. And the fake idea of racism. Sucker. Does not belong to be on the Supreme Court, even though Trump did appoint her. What a shame. Terrible shame. And she's married. So this U.S. Supreme Court Justice Amy Barrett's recent ruling suggests that athletes and other students who challenge the vaccine requirements would likely fail. Get on out of college, kids. Kids. They're not kids. They're grown adults. 8 students, according to this report from Sportico, from Indiana University, you may have heard about this, insist that a vaccine requirement violates their 14th Amendment due process rights and infringes, I guess it's 14th Amendment, I don't know, that's what it says, infringes on their ability to make medical decisions. Their own medical decisions. Justice Barrett's denial of the college students' challenge to mandatory China virus vaccination will impact college athletes, suggests this writer for Sportico. I had never heard of that outlet, Sportico. And it's interesting in this thread, they share a whole bunch of blue checkmark liberal reporters and officials and stuff. Greg Sankey is commissioner of the Southeastern Conference. So it has to do with sports, right? Southeastern Conference. It has to do with college sports. He tweeted last month on July 19th this. COVID-19, that's the globalist socialist buzzword for the China virus, China/communist virus. He calls it COVID-19. It's not really what it is, but they are trying to use that word to distract from what it really is. China virus vaccines, he says, he used the term COVID-19, are widely available, proven to be highly effective. And when people are fully vaccinated, we all have the ability to avoid serious health risks. Whoa, all of us? Everybody? Reduce the viruses spread, and maximize our chances to experience college sports and life like we are accustomed. In other words, he's justifying the communist shutdowns and holding the vaccine over your head to say, oh, you want your freedom back? You want your freedom back? Just get this vaccine. Oh, and then you need a booster shot later. Oh, and then you also have to wear masks. Oh, and you also have to shut down because it's not highly effective. Well, it is highly effective, supposedly, according to them. But they also say, oh, many cases are like more than, 50, 60% of cases in like Israel, speaking of Israel, they are from vaccinated people. Hospitalizations, not just cases, I think. Hospitalizations. People are still getting hospitalized even though they're quote-unquote vaccinated. What a mess. So that's a sucker. And there was no fact check. Warning. This claim is disputed. You know how Twitter says, this claim is disputed. No warning on this. No warning. Even Fauci, phony Dr. Fauci, does not make this claim that when people are fully vaccinated, we all have the ability to avoid serious health risks. That's not true, because people do experience serious health risks even when vaccinated, and it may be that some even happen because they got this so-called vaccine, right? Because there are sometimes adverse reactions. And also it's not fully studied nor approved by the FDA, which is really kind of beside the point more and more because the FDA, do you trust them? I'm not sure I do. She denied an emergency application to bar Indiana University from requiring faculty, staff, students to be so-called vaccinated from this thing that's only approved on emergency use. No belief in God, in the body. The body can really do well to heal itself in a lot of ways. And that is really ideal. The vaccine, in my opinion, seems more like an emergency measure. Oh, you really messed up your body. Here, do this. But don't start relying on this. Live longer, wronger, as some sayings have gone. The saying goes. She did not give any analysis or reasoning to this thing either, by the way. She didn't decide it on the merits. She just said, oh no, just tossing out this case. That was last Thursday. Klassen versus trustees of Indiana University. Klassen. And it suggested that athletes and other students, or at least people are using this to suggest that athletes and other students who challenge the vax requirement would likely fail. But really, do you need to go to college? A lot of people are in the middle of it or nearly done, though. You know? 8 students. And she doesn't. It's ridiculous almost to trust the courts or go through the courts. Her modus operandi, her MO, Amy Barrett's, is to toss everything out. Yeah. A group of students or athletes from a college located in a different federal court could mount a similar challenge reviewed by a different justice who might, unlike Barrett, refer to the full court for consideration. So we'll see. But I don't trust these courts to stand up for us. Some people were trusting the courts to stand up for us with the election and all kinds of stuff. Do you really believe that the courts are going to do the right thing? Not generally. Courts are made up of judges and lawyers, two of the most intellectual, dishonest, phony, liberal, or rhino type of people that you can imagine. All educated and puffed up women, scared, easily pushed around. She was like in tears over Georgia, Florida, getting the knee on his neck. Georgia, Florida. And then she was there-thering her little adopted black children about the knee on the neck. Give me a break. This is not a decent or solid woman. So listen to this. Earlier this month, a 3-judge panel on the 7th Circuit rejected the students' arguments. And this is when they went to her. They're like, Amy Barrett, help us. Judge Frank Easterbrook cited as precedent the U.S. Supreme Court's 1905 ruling in Jacobson versus Massachusetts, holding that states can require members of the public to be vaccinated against smallpox. Oh, okay, yeah, smallpox and the China virus, real comparable. Give me a break. Easterbrook stressed that Indiana University's policy contains accommodations, including for religious beliefs, online-only learning, and a documented allergy to the vaccine. How are you supposed to have a documented allergy to a vaccine that's brand new? It's not even fully approved. Just a question. And how are you supposed to know you have the allergy if you've never had it? That's why you should get tests if you're really considering getting this. And I don't even know if the tests will show you much. He also underscored that school's policy only applies to those who enroll, not the general public, and that students who do not want to be vaccinated can pursue enrollment at a college that doesn't require the vaccine. He further highlighted this Easterbrook man, and I use the term man loosely, Frank Easterbrook, that universities have an established tradition of requiring vaccinations to keep other students safe in a congregate setting. Common vaccine requirements: measles, mumps, rubella, diphtheria, tetanus, pertussis, varicella, and meningitis. That's a lot. I remember tetanus only when I went to college. And yeah, measles, mumps, rubella, MMR. Maybe diphtheria, but I don't remember pertussis, varicella, and I don't think I remember meningitis. Subian Knott says, I'm allergic to communism. Fair. Attorneys for the students found these conclusions unpersuasive. 3 China virus vaccines in the United States, Pfizer, Moderna, and J&J, Johnson & Johnson. Unlike other vaccines for disease, not approved. They've only received emergency use authorization. Do you guys think that that the FDA will approve it? And if they approve it, do you trust them? Do you trust the Food and Drug Administration? I don't know. The attorneys at the BOPP law firm, B-O-P-P law firm in Indiana, said that the China virus vaccine is unnecessary for college students, according to them. Yeah, that's right. They say the risk of serious morbidity and mortality from the China virus for those under 30, the age of 30, is virtually 0. Just don't hang around grandma, and most young people don't. Right? The attorneys add arguments that some people suffer vaccine side effects. Exactly. And that studies suggest vaccines are less effective for the Delta variant, which has become the most prevalent strain in the United States. Duh! What a mess. I'm going to talk about the Afghanistan situation. Man, did you see those people falling down from the plane in the sky? Wow. They tried to cling onto the plane as it was taking off. And it looked like they were trying to run alongside it. If you were driving that plane, you got to have nerves. You know how when you're supposed to drive and not swerve or stop for an animal that gets in the road? Unless, of course, it's like a deer or something that's going to mess you up, right? A deer in the road or a moose could kill you, I think, because they will like the impact and who knows what, the antlers. What a mess. But you're not supposed to swerve or stop for like squirrels or dogs or cats in the road. You're supposed to just keep on going because otherwise you're a traffic hazard and you can cause a worse accident. So, but you got to have nerve to be able to do that if you see that thing in the road because it's so tempting to just swerve or stop. Man, yeah, they're taxiing. Hey, it's called taxiing. When the plane is driving on the road, taxiing, you're like, oh my gosh, what if I drive over these people? What a mess. Crazy. But I'll get to that. And there's a major setup for so-called refugees. They're already planning to bring them into U.S. like military bases, I thought I read in a headline. U.S. military bases are going to house thousands of Afghan refugees in coming days. Oh, how convenient. Never swerve even if it's a deer, says Hondo Hunter. I cannot independently verify. I don't know what you're supposed to do. Moose everywhere I live, says Man Godson. They mess up your car big time. Wow. Anyway, let me get to Nick in Maryland. He has this question about dual citizenship and specifically about Israelis. Nick, how are you doing?
What's up, man?
Hey.
Pretty good. How you been?
Fine, thank you.
Yeah.
Right on. What's your question?
All right. So, yeah, why do we have over 118 dual Israelis serving in our government right now, writing laws?
Are you on a speakerphone?
Yeah, let me, hold on.
What in the world? Get a bumper
Can you hear
guard
me now?
Hake for BLM and Antifa. Yeah, I can hear you, I guess. Go for it. Why do we have
All
what?
right, so why do we have over 100 dual Israelis in our government writing laws? Not duals from any other country other than Israel.
Really? So
Yeah.
100 dual citizenship Israelis who call themselves also Americans in our government
Yeah.
writing laws. They are in the Congress. Is that what it is?
Yeah. Have you ever heard of the Smith-Mundt Act?
Smith-Mundt Act?
Yeah.
Spell it.
So that's where our government goes hand in hand with the entertainment laws that these so-called news broadcasters operate under, and they literally lie to your face and pull off these psyops right in front of you, and the whole all the way down from all the school shootings, all these shootings that happened just through this 1 year of campaigning. That's the media is allowed to lie to you to your face about this stuff to get you to believe this, that guns are bad, and they're pulling the same thing with the vaccine right now. So
You're
while
saying
everyone is
you're kind of all over the place. You're saying that the
I
media
have to be. There's so much. There's
the
so
media
much to
is
cover
allowed
to get you guys up to speed.
the media is allowed by law to lie to us.
You, yes.
So
Yep.
they are
And while
so
you
they
guys
are
are-
allowed to spread misinformation by law according to
Exactly.
the Mundt Act.
Smith-Mundt Act. Yes.
Spell it for me.
SMITHMUND.
All one word?
Nah, 2 words.
Okay. Mundt.
Yeah, look that
M-U-
up, 'cause that was established during Obama's administration. And
2012.
that's when all these psyops started.
Mundt. M-U-N-D-T. Like you said, right?
Yeah, I guess.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Appreciate the tip, man.
Yeah, and there's a lot
Oh, it was
more,
actually
and,
effective in 1948?
Oh yeah, that must have been to combat all the propaganda that was going around in that time era.
By
where,
Truman.
We were killing our German brothers and then calling them the evil Nazis, even though they were trying to abolish centralized banking, and it was very effective. They rebuilt their economy. They rebuilt the Weimar Republic within 3 years, so much so that 38 other nations followed suit.
My
But
eyes are
you
glazing
only hear
over.
about the evil Nazis in Germany, right?
I know. It's a big
Yeah.
propaganda campaign. We're
it
very
comes hand in
selective
hand.
about the evil that we call out.
So,
But anyway,
now
why
that
don't
we're
you
in
answer for me?
international debt right now? We're
Nick.
in international debt right now. What do you think the best way to just get rid of the centralized banks that enslaved especially all these Marxist college kids?
You're jumping around to me. Hold on.
Yeah, I have to, because there's so much to cover. You guys are so light years behind on what's really happening.
Well,
Just,
you're not
you know.
helping. You're not helping.
I know.
You're
I'm
not
trying
helping
to.
the
If you
situation.
guys really want,
Are you
if
a
want to find
scatterbrained
out-
person?
No, I'm just a red pill J-woke person that understands that we've been lied to for thousands of years.
Okay. All right.
And if you guys want more, goyimtv.tv.
Sorry about that, guys. What a mess. I wonder if that's caller spitting a lot of truth, says DJ Onpaw. You're retarded, bud, says rest my case. I should have hung up on him before that. Sorry, guys. I'm a little slow at times. I'm a little bit slow. But what a mess. He's been watching too much Alex Jones, says Matthew L. I don't know if he's been watching Alex Jones. Maybe he started with Alex Jones. It's not that I don't know if anything that he said was incorrect. Caller dropping them truth bombs, says Skip. But I wonder why he thinks. I wanted to ask him why he thinks that we have the dual citizens. And if we've been lied to for thousands of years. It sounds like he's got all that knowledge, but no inner calm or something like that. What a mess. That's not how you're going to get people up to speed, buddy. Very rude, honestly. Very sneaky. Very, very subversive. What a mess. He needed to calm down. Yeah, it says OD Red Skull. Anyway, just a PSA for you guys. I don't, nor does anybody on this network, like or want or allow people sneaking in their little plugs. Even if that channel is great, go about it the right way. Don't be all sneaky and snaky about it. I thought you don't like sneaky, snaky people. Isn't that what you call Jewish people? Sneaky and snaky? Why become like what you hate? Right? So don't be sneaky and snaky like that. LOL, Hake, he wasn't sneaky, says Skip. Yeah, he was. If he's trying to hurry up and get in a plug and say, we need to get you up to speed, he's trying to use my platform, sneak and use my platform to put out some other plug. He did sneak that in fast, says Robbie Lewis Brown. Yeah. He made some good points, but too fired up. Yeah, but he's like jumping around. Jumping around to shootings. Man, it's hard to... Cunning, says William Bowser. No, that's not cunning, though. Cunning people are friendlier. Maybe you should be more like those Jewish people, because those Jewish people are very friendly. And they get their way by being friendly. Anyway, let me get to Josh in Georgia. What a mess. Josh, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Hake. How you doing, man?
Doing fine. Thank you, man. It's good to hear from you.
Yes, sir. Thanks for taking my call, man. I was just calling to share my men's conference experience, and I really enjoyed myself. For the most, pretty much. Yeah, it was my second one, so I wasn't as like starstruck as I was the first time, but I saw a lot of people. You know, they were how I was on the first one in 2019. I went to in 2019. You know.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, and but the thing is, I met this guy there that he said he's from New York, and he found Jesse through Destiny. You know,
wow, Stephen Bennell. Yeah, the guy. Yeah, and the guy with the girl name.
Oh yeah, Destiny Child. Yeah, and he told me he was a communist, and that his biggest heroes were Stalin and Marx, but he said he loves Jesse a lot, and I thought at first he was like, playing, or he was a plant or a troll maybe, but I think he really, those are really his beliefs. I don't know if you can separate religion and politics like that, but he seemed legit to me. He got up and spoke at the men's conference too. So
he's the guy who said, "I'm a leftist."
I'm a lifelong leftist. Yeah,
wow. That's cool.
Yeah, and I talked to him for a long time. He was in VIP with me and everything, and he seemed to be a decent guy. So it's like,
it's like people do love Jesse because I think they can see that he's just a man of goodwill.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And
so they can't help but love him.
Right. And it's like you can't. I have to watch myself. I can't be quick to say, "Oh, that's just I'm your snake pit security guard, right?
Yes.
That's right.
This is Hake's snake pit security guard, and it is a snake pit over there in the live chat.
Yeah, it is. But you know what? It's like you don't know who's really a spurg or who's really, just a little misguided or off,
right.
or who's real. There are probably some real feds in there and snakes, but it's like you really can't. I don't think you can really know.
Very
for me,
true.
I just give. Yeah,
I agree.
Like yeah. So, but yeah, I enjoyed them. Everything went perfect at the men's conference. I'm gonna try to make it back again next year, man.
That's cool, man. It was great to meet you again. I know you've been around here for it feels like you've been around for church services and men's forums before.
Right.
So that's cool, man.
Yeah, every time I'm trying to become a regular, man. So
and there's a lot of truckers over there. There's a lot of trucker listeners to the Jesse Lee Peterson show and to the Hake Report. And shout out to the truckers. I guess you guys are listening on the road.
Yeah, that's all I do, man. That's all I do is listen to the show straight up.
Yeah.
And I'm headed up to New York right now, man. I heard they're starting the mandate. I'm not. Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
I'm not getting no vaccine or anything, so I don't think it pertains to us truckers. Maybe they'll let us pass, but I just go to the truck stops and sleep and get my next load and head on out. So
just keep to yourself.
We'll see how it goes, man.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Well, thank you, Josh. It's great. Appreciate hearing from you, man. Take care.
No problem. I'll be in touch, man. Thank you.
Sounds good. Yeah, it's such a mess. Oh, people responding still to that first spurg. Spurg is short for Asperger's, which is short for somebody who's like autistic and doesn't have like social sense. By the way, I hear is that true? Destiny is debating Mark Collette tonight? Wow. Derp Von Franz says, Hake, he was saying things you didn't want to hear, nor are capable of hearing, as it was putting you into cognitive dissonance. Kinda sad, really, man. Snap out of that delusion you're in. Honestly, I don't know if I disagree with anything that he was saying. He was just jumping around, and he had a bad energy about him. He was an evil person. Skip admits he did try to sneak in a plug, but he was just sharing truth with us and was talking real fast, probably too fast. Yeah, I think you get you get my drift, Skip. Appreciate you, man. Yeah. Anyway, before I get to Dean in North Carolina back on the line, I'm gonna get to William in California next, though, talking about Afghanistan. Let me give you a quick tip about what's going on in Afghanistan. Well, this might not be so quick. I'll try to keep it relatively short. They're setting up to force refugees on us, as you know, and that's why the mainstream media is covering it the way that they are. I've just kind of noticed that when the media doesn't want to cover something, it's because they have no angle on it. They don't want to admit the truth, right? Such as rampant black on black crime or way out of proportion black on white crime, ongoing situation, the border's a mess, stuff like that. Or, even with this vaccine situation, I don't feel that they are giving us the whole story on what's going on, right? And if you go to more underground stuff, they have an agenda too, right? Or they may have a preconceived notion about what's going on. Hey, scoot over, I'm the host now, says Evan. Yeah, exactly. They have like a preconceived notion, I admit, right? Like some of us are leery about these vaccinations. And so you look for stuff where there's something that has gone awry with this person or that person. But I think that such incidents may be more widespread than the mainstream media is letting us know. And they didn't report on the China virus itself, although it was starting to threaten, until after the more independent-minded people were already taking it seriously. And then later they realized, it just needs to protect the old people and the fat or hypertension, whatever that is. Those people just need to protect themselves and get healthy again and stuff like that. Well, no, they're still on this kick. It's a get Trump or get the Trump supporters angle. I hear that the people who are least likely to be masking and vaccinating are the blacks, by the way. But no, they want to blame the Trump supporters and stuff like that. It's a mess. Well, this Afghanistan thing, everybody's reporting on this from all sides, and they're all blaming different things, and they're hyping for different things. The mainstream media wants the refugees because they're women, female-minded liberals, who want to force the refugees into our communities. And they don't have our values. There were some shocking scenes. I don't have the footage because, I don't know. My tender heart can't take the scenes. Shocking scenes at the airport in Kabul as the Afghanistan people, they're trying to jump on the plane. Some of them falling off. I wonder if anybody got run over. They're literally like trying to float around like a bunch of little mice when you're trying to walk. Float around the taxiing C-17 or C, whatever that thing is, that big plane. By the way, oh my gosh, I'll tell you about an interesting fact. Searing images were broadcast from Kabul's international airport yesterday. Thousands of desperate Afghans flocked to try to get flights out of Taliban-occupied country. Footage showed people clinging to the fuselage of departing U.S. jets, which continued to take off with people then falling from the sky. At least 6 people were supposedly killed, maybe 7. I think we saw 2 in the footage, killed in the chaos. 2 of them fell down, maybe more than that. Looked like they were on pretty well. And supposedly people are scared of the Taliban, I guess. I've heard some horror stories. Well, I heard one horror story, and I don't know if this is true, but let me tell you why. Let me just share this thing. It was retweeted by Cernovich, as in Mike Cernovich, who's been on the Jesse Lee Peterson show. He's like a center-left guy. Generally, I consider him pro-America, but he retweeted this interesting statement from a blue checkmark guy who calls himself an entrepreneur, investor, philanthropist named Joe Lonsdale. Joe Lonsdale. And he's sharing a note from a friend, right? He's a blue checkmark guy. J.T. Lonsdale, Lonsdale is apparently his last name. J.T. Lonsdale on Twitter. He claims, 18 hours ago, an Afghani interpreter that I have come to know, and he's quoting a friend of his from a note. Oh, he's quoting a note to a friend of his. Okay, so this is third. Don't take this as fact necessarily, but it's an interesting story. This is, what is that considered? Third-hand source? I know a guy who knows a guy who claims this. An Afghani interpreter I have come to know well over the years was hung, he means hanged, in the streets last night. They melted his DOD, Department of Defense, identification card, apparently, into his chest, cut off his arms, sorry kids, kind of graphic, and killed his family. His 10-year-old daughter was spared and handed off to leadership to be like a slave or something. Wow. Pretty brutal. Pretty brutal. And he goes on to say, DOD's pathetic mistakes aside, bureaucrats couldn't approve our allies' visas in time, and no leader in our government was competent to figure it out. So much to fix, but if this doesn't call for civil service reform and accountability and an overhaul of the government, I don't know what does. That's according to Joe Lonsdale, who calls himself an entrepreneur and investor, and he's a blue checkmark. Oh, he works on policy at Institute Cicero Institute. We believe America's best days are ahead. That's why we are fighting for transparency and accountability in government and markets where innovative ideas win. And he founded some companies, including OpenGov. Open government is good government. So this guy's like an activist. But that's what he put out, that an Afghani interpreter that a friend of a friend knew, apparently, was hanged in the streets last night, presumably in Afghanistan, right? melted his DOD ID card into his chest, cut off his arms, and killed his family. His 10-year-old daughter was spared and handed off to leadership, according to this guy. Wild, huh? Almost reminds me of the horror stories, which may or may not be tall tales, of things that happened in the past, like with the lynchings and stuff here in America. Back when men were rough and life was rough here in America. I imagine life is pretty rough in Afghanistan. It's a tough life. I don't know if they have slavery there. But it's not an easy life, apparently. And there are some crazy things happening. And men have to take some extreme measures sometimes. Don't know what's happening, who's wrong, whether anybody's right. And really, kind of not our concern, but we're taking the refugees anyway. Oh, gosh. Not my choice. It feels like America's enemies have been running America for like decades or a century and a half or more, for the most part. It's kind of like in Israel, they had evil king, evil king, evil king. Every now and then, like a decent king. They weren't even supposed to want kings, but they wanted kings, and God's like, okay, you're going to get a king, you're going to suffer for it. And they did. Sleepy Joe Biden defended his withdrawal, which is beside the point, saying only that the fall of the Taliban happened faster than expected. Oh yeah, that's all that happened, faster than expected. Before they're even all the way out. Before the Americans are even all the way out. One soldier may have been wounded. American soldier. Because there were a couple of guys with guns and shooting at the U.S. military. What? So evacuation flights resumed as the Taliban leader Amir Khan Muttaqi was in talks to form a government. And they promised, no Americans are going to get killed. Austin 316 says Dennis Prager and Mike Cernovich run America. I thought at first I thought he said that Dennis Prager and Mike Cernovich run America, which is not exactly true. But the type of people, even during the fall of Saigon, says this far left female run outlet, the Skim, the fall of Saigon. That was, the Vietnam War or something like that? U.S. helicopters landed every 10 minutes and evacuated over 7,000 people in less than a day. I think we have... Am I mistaken in saying that we have fewer than that in Afghanistan? Helicopters landing every 10 minutes, evacuating 7,000 people, over 7,000 people in less than a day. And that was decades ago. Wow. So it's not just, it was faster than, it's like a mess before we're even out. So our people are not safe. What a mess. Canada, Albania, and Kosovo are accepting refugees. Canada. Yeah, Canada, you need more foreigners. That's exactly what you need. The U.S., the Pentagon, is reportedly looking to house refugees in Wisconsin and Texas. Huh. Wisconsin and Texas. Sounds like a great place for refugees. Terrible, huh? Terrible mess. Let me get to William in California. How are you doing, William?
Hey, good morning. How you doing there, Hake?
Doing fine, thank you.
Good. This Afghanistan thing, I was about 15 years old when they pulled out of Vietnam, and it's pretty chaotic. You have to think about what happened before then. I think me and Skip were talking about this on the chat, is the most important conflict we had was World War II. I think we can all agree that actually shaped the demographics of the world. And it was General Patton that told everybody, we're going to have to deal with this communist thing. I'm telling you, The Russians they're not our friends. And you fast forward to Korea, and we just don't do this. Even Korea has not even been officially over. not. We don't turn our back on the people that we defend.
Right.
Even Japan, we did not completely. We're still there. We're still there. We're still in the Philippines, Okinawa. We don't do this. And if you think about it, history is repeating itself. Like I said, I was 15. I don't know if Skip probably was around at that time. He remembers. It's called the Bay of Pigs. It's called a bad taste in your mouth.
What was Bay of Pigs?
The Bay of Pigs is in Cuba.
Okay.
It's trying to overturn Castro, but unsuccessfully. But the Bay of Pigs, and then right after the Bay of Pigs, there's Vietnam. If anybody's got a father or something that was in the conflict, you would know that it was the liberals and hippies who infiltrated our military. A lot of garbage that doesn't have anything to do with actual combat.
Yeah.
And you mess up the military, you mess up the politics, and it was LBJ, Lyndon Baines. Unless I heard you looking for his middle name, it's Baines.
Yeah.
And he was connected with Jack Ruby. Jack Ruby's the club owner in Dallas, who I don't know how got in the garage of the Dallas Police Department and killed Lee Harvey Oswald. But to tell you how serious this communism is, that's what they were in Vietnam for, is to combat communism. So you fast forward to the 80s, the Soviets fell, and of course they moved to San Francisco.
Yeah.
And so we've seen this before with the free stuff and the welfare and the president that's smiling in your face thinking that he's doing something right when he's really not. This is a very embarrassing thing that this guy is doing, because his base that's listening to him, the only thing they know is, we don't want war. Well, war actually gave you the country you live in.
Yeah, but that was a war here at home.
Well, war gave. I don't want to hold you too long. The most important conflict was World War II. You wouldn't even have a country if it wasn't for that.
We wouldn't have a country here in America if it weren't for World War II?
Pretty much.
Why?
It was a pretty important conflict. It's your greatest generation ever.
But that World War II, I'm not convinced of that. I don't know.
You don't think so?
I'm just saying I don't know, because
we would have done okay? You think we'd have done okay under Japanese imperial rule?
You think Japanese would have been able to take over America?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so. But and Germany, what about them? You think we'd have been better off with that? I don't think so.
But we're talking about are you talking about America or the world?
Yeah. Yeah.
You think the Japanese or the Germans would have been more powerful than America?
No, I don't think so. They weren't. But it had to be worked out. It had to be dealt with.
Yeah, I don't know if it was dealt with right.
They were in Afghanistan dealing with this, for whatever reason. You got a lot of liberals that got in office during the time of Vietnam ending. Those people were in their 30s going to college with affirmative action. Then they turned into our leaders in the 90s.
Yeah, ridiculous.
So, it's all very un-American. Like I said, we had a bad taste ending Vietnam. This happened before.
Yeah.
This happened before. And, what happened during the 70s and 75 when that happened, look what happened. All the free stuff came, didn't it?
What was the free stuff? What are you talking about with free stuff?
The single-father homes, all that stuff began around the same time, 60s, 70s.
Yeah. What a mess.
That's all. But rebuild that, man. That's all I can say.
Yeah. I appreciate it, William. Interesting, man. Take care.
Have a good day.
You as well.
Okay.
All right. Quickly, let me get to Matt the American. He wants to talk about the Viet Cong and Afghanistan. Matt the American, how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
From Indiana. Yes, sir.
Right. Well, right now we're calling from a rest area in Kentucky. I had to get off the phone to call you.
Nice.
And you can't be on speakerphone if you call into the radio or a headset.
Right.
So
I appreciate it, man. So you pulled off the road just to call.
I did.
Nice.
Well, the family's in, restroom break and whatnot, and I need to stretch my legs. But yeah, we
Sounds
pulled
good.
off just so I could call.
Well, that's good.
So Afghanistan, they're flying all these young men over, and it parallels Vietnam. This is the play. Vietnam, when they got all these Vietnamese over here, they brought fishermen, and they settled in Galveston, Texas.
Wow.
And so they displaced the American shrimpers because they'd undercut what they would sell them for. There's a documentary out there on this to where there's a full-blown, I'm going to use the word race war in Galveston, Texas, where the Vietnamese killed some American shrimpers, and it went back and forth.
Wow.
But the Vietnamese pretty much displaced the American shrimping industry in Galveston, Texas.
Wow.
So, and that was 73, 74. And so I don't know what these folks from Afghanistan are going to do, but the Viet Cong, they were Viet Cong, took over the shrimping industry. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Afghanistan's just dirt and mountains, and they fight all the time. So it's what they do. Our own government displaces its own citizens.
Yeah.
When they go in for these, in military-industrial complex wars.
So when you say Viet Cong, those were the Vietnamese communist soldiers?
Yeah, well, you couldn't tell them apart.
Right. And so many of them probably were who came over here.
Exactly. And it's going to be the same thing with this.
Right.
So, it's going to be great trying to go to Walmart when you got all these car bombs and suicide bombers from Afghanistan getting in your way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be a trip. We're going to have to, we're going to need armored vehicles and all this other stuff. Just go to the gas station.
Yeah, I'm seeing from the skim, the U.S. is working to get up to 30,000 Afghanis under a special visa program out of Kabul. But the U.S. lawmakers are calling for more U.S. lawmakers, meaning the phony Democrat and rhino politicians, pleading with the Biden administration to speed up the evacuation of U.S. citizens and Afghan allies. Allies is a buzzword for evil people generally nowadays, I've learned. Because allies means allies to LGBT mess, the so-called American establishment, anti-American, anti-Christian agenda. Yeah, I think you're right, man.
That's right, and the Viet Cong, they weren't Christians either. And
right.
These Afghanis, they're not Christians either.
Yep.
And
Fair point.
It's just it's the same. Now, what's funny, the Bay of Pigs, that kind of got Kennedy off a little bit there, And I just threw this in there. I'm starting to see Nixon as one of the greatest presidents we ever had.
You might be
I'll
right.
Tell you why.
Go ahead.
I'll tell you why. When Nixon resigned, he had already signed a peace agreement with the North Vietnamese.
Okay.
And not with the North. I'm sorry. Let me retract that. Not a peace agreement with the North Vietnamese, but he signed an agreement with the South Vietnamese government that we would supply them with military equipment. All the ammunition they need, all the equipment they would need, we would supply it. So when Nixon resigned and Ford come in, he pardoned Nixon, but the Democrats in Congress and Senate reneged on that. So the whole country fell. So, and to go to Vietnam, so they had to remove Nixon in order to get what they wanted in Vietnam. So now here with Afghanistan, let this sink in. $2 trillion, 20 years of training that army, and they fell in less than 2 weeks. Now, I got blood in the boat on this one. My brother was in Afghanistan, and he's dead now. He's laying in a national cemetery, Jefferson Barracks, overlooking the Mississippi, just south of St. Louis. So this Afghanistan thing it's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to say it. Now is not the time for your children to be joining no military in the United States. And it pains me to say that.
Yeah.
But it's the truth. It just pains me. So this Afghanistan thing, Trump goes in, he's going to take them all out, and Joe Biden didn't touch it.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm starting to see there's some cahoots in this. And, you know, Trump's really being quiet. I mean, he fights like a limp-wristed rhino, James. I mean, it's just the truth. I mean, where's his social media thing? I mean, the man had the clout and the money. He could have his own servers. Where's it at?
Yeah.
It's not there. He's left us to dry. And then, you know, I'm just saying that as an American, Christian American, it's been too far. It's too much. You know, they're coming for the kids. You know, the ones that was down in Orlando, Jeff Younger,
Yeah.
Pray for James.
Yeah.
I mean,
That was wild, man.
And yeah, it's nuts. And then in Indiana, you know, I live 25 minutes from Indiana University, Bloomington.
Uh-huh.
So all this mess with the vaccines and everything, it's right there. Now, I think you touched on that in Indiana, there are religious exemptions, and I've used them for my children in high school.
Right.
And this is how I stopped all vaccinations when I think my kids were like 5 and 6.
So they got the early ones
but
that kids generally get, but they didn't get any after that.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. None of my kids had chicken pox, so they'll probably have shingles now sometime in the future.
Oh,
You know?
okay. Yeah.
They vaccinate against chicken pox, and then you get shingles, and shingles can kill.
Shingles
So,
can kill.
yeah. Shingles can kill you.
But not necessarily. It won't necessarily kill you, right? Sometimes it's just like a hives on half the body.
Exactly. I mean, it's not gonna. It can kill you,
Right.
but you know, it's just gonna be very painful. If anybody, I've never had them, but if anybody's ever had shingles, it's the end of your nerves being attacked and inflamed. So
Yeah.
it's just like someone, you know, you got a nerve showing into your tooth. Just take a little needle and play with it a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, shove it in that cavity and
No thanks.
yank it out.
Man.
So I
brutal.
mean, but Nixon, yeah, he had that taken care of, and then, yeah, the only president that was never elected, Gerald Ford. He
Wow.
didn't run for re-election either. As soon as he got in, he pardoned everybody. So yeah, it's just a mess. I mean, they put it out front and they yanked the rug right out underneath your feet. So
Yeah.
and the last caller that called that talked on America, he thinks the best days for America is ahead of us. Well, let me say this. If we take control of this country and say, this is hypothetical now, the Christians stand up and we overthrow the government and we reinstitute the Constitution with a few more provisions in it to protect from medical tyranny,
Yeah.
because that was the only thing that was not covered at first.
Yeah.
But there was one guy, though, that brought it up back then when the Constitution was written, but it just didn't make it in there.
Oh, wow.
And I can't remember his name at the moment. But if we do that, you know, this debt that we have, the new nation will have to pay that debt.
That's wild.
So we're not nations, they're plantations.
Yeah, we're not free.
And this, no one's free.
What a mess.
Well, actually, Sentinel Island, the folks on Sentinel Island and the uncontacted tribes in the Amazon, those folks are free. I'm sure there's some in Siberia and some other places, but, you know, those folks are free. But, no, none of us are free. But, yeah, just think about that. Look at that debt. Look, they just raised 25% on food stamps, and then Social Security is going to get 6% increase. That's like $200 across, you know, board.
Yeah.
And then if the nation collapsed and we form a new government, we have to take on that debt.
What a mess. Man.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll just drop a few of those for you guys, and I'll go ahead and get off the phone, James.
Appreciate you, Matt.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. You guys keep up that good work. Oh, one more plug. Ask permission before you drop something.
Yeah.
It's not your guys' shows.
Right. That's a tip. That's a tip from my first caller. Ask permission.
Yeah, ask permission.
It's common
Ask
decency.
permission.
Maybe
Yep,
he'll grow up. Maybe he'll grow up and snap out of it. Hopefully so.
Maybe. I mean, yeah maybe. He'll suffer enough. Maybe he'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Or maybe he won't.
Right. Thank you, Matt. Great hearing from you, man.
Yep. Thank you, James. Love what you're doing. You guys keep going.
Will
All
do.
right.
Have a safe rest of
Talk
your
to you
trip.
later. Yep. Thank you. Talk to you folks later.
All right. Thank you, Matt. And thank you, callers. Hang tight. Dean in North Carolina. He wants to talk about that show called Sliders. I'll get to you after this break. And Jovi, or Hovey, I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce it, out of New York City says that the left versus the right is fake. Jovi. And there's a lot of truth to that. And I have some stuff that Trump has been saying. But yeah, I have to read about it like several paragraphs down in the middle of articles. Oh, what a mess. That and more, guys. But first, I have another beautiful... Actually, I really like this track. This is called Dragon. Dragon. From the band 121. I don't think that they're Antifa, but I don't know. They're supposed to be Christians. And it's supposed to be a Christian message. But, you know, stuff gets perverted into liberalism like all the time. But anyway, this is from 1998 from the album When the Dragon is Finally Laid to Rest. So it's sort of the title track, Dragon. Enjoy, and I'll be right back for the rest of hour 2. Lyrics should be on screen, guys. Hang tight.
We lost some troops in the war so far, thrown like seeds on the rocky soil. Consumed by sin, the walking dead. Consumed by the dragon like Jesus said. Another life down the drain. Maybe your life I could have saved, but even those that I can't reach. I find attempt to what you teach us. You don't understand, and how can I explain the truth about life in Jesus Christ? When all you see is hypocrisy, cause the life I lead I failed to be holy. From afar if you hear your eyes, the dragon is finally laid to rest. Don't look to me, look for Christ. The dragon is finally laid to rest. You offer us life and we turn away. You give us your life and we turn away. We'll spit in your face, that's the price you pay for offering us eternity. Just ignore your will, come to an end, but when you're tired, well, laugh and laugh on. Nothing just funny and sacrifice. You should have seen the face of Jesus Christ. You make the truth, bring it down when the wise can't understand. Cause we're infected by disease that cannot be cured by man. Terminally ill in desperate need. The human race is a dying breed. Which one of you doctors will operate one day and eventually? Great, where is your victory? Death, where is your sting? You've got no power over me, 'cause I've been free from sin. Death, you will die. The dragon is finally laid to rest. Death, you will die. The dragon is finally laid to rest. Death, you will die. The dragon is finally laid to rest. Death, you will die. The dragon is finally laid to rest. Death.
What a great message, right? What a great message. But do they believe that you can no longer sin? As the Bible does say. That was, if you understood a word of that, I understand the words. But then again, I read along the lyrics, and then I started to be able to understand the punk rock voice. But thank you, 121, and thank you guys for bearing with me. Funny enough, it sounds like Jesus Lizard, says CJS. Really? I didn't know that they sound like Jesus Lizard. I'd heard of that band before. I may even own an album and just haven't hardly listened to it. This is Why You're Single, says OG Chris Anderson. Funny. This music is so awesome with the volume muted, says Bob Anderson. Not to be confused with OG Chris Anderson. Hake, all I can say about this band is God sure didn't bless them with good voices, says Skip. Thank you, man. I liked the band last week, Super Dave says. Yeah, that was Stavesacre. Stavesacre. Was it unclassy or classy or fine for me to be playing the footage of the Twin Towers getting crashed into, or after they were crashed into and going down, collapsing, to that song Gold and Silver by Stavesacre, the remake that they made in 2001, and they put out an MP3 for free for the people, dedicated to the victims of 9/11 2001. We're coming up on the 20th anniversary of it, and it just made me think. Every time I hear that song, I also think of that situation, because the Stavesacre people, who are kind of dumb liberals, it turns out, as it would turn out, just like all musicians and all artists. Some of you guys might fight me on that. I say all musicians and all artists are liberals. And all women. But anyway, I thought it was fine, says Jim Justice. Thank you, man. Thank you. But real quick before I get to Dean, and I have other callers on the line, Jovi in New York City, Jeremiah in Louisiana. You guys like him. Sleepy Biden was defending his situation that he basically he brought chaos because he's a weak man. Weak men bring chaos, right? We trained and equipped Afghan military force of some 300,000 strong, incredibly well equipped, a force larger in any size than many of our NATO allies, who also don't do much, according to Trump. They don't even pay their fair share. Or Trump started to get them to pay their fair share, I think, according to him. We gave them every chance to determine their own future. We could not provide them with the will to fight for that future, says Sleepy Joe Biden. But getting some Americans hurt in the meantime and bringing them here to hurt us, right? Especially with their children's corrupt votes, right? What a mess. Trump, our real president, Donald J. Trump, stated on Saturday, the 14th, just this past weekend, that the Taliban, quote, no longer has fear or respect for America. And I think that's true. I mean, they're obviously not going to attack our Americans willingly because they don't want to get a backlash, but they're supposed to keep the terrorism out of the country. They might be bringing it into the country under an agreement that they had with Trump. And Trump was going to have the military, all our troops out by May 1st. And he did think of getting them out before his term end. I don't know if it was his decision or somebody else's advice or decision not to get him out before his first term ended. I saw a guy at Cameron over there in, I don't know if he watches my show, but over there in Jesse Lee Peterson's chat, that he said Trump should have gotten him out first term. And maybe he's right. Don't know how doable that would have been, but May 1st, Trump wanted May 1st. Biden's all, no, let's get them all out by 9/11. Why would you go for 9/11? Seems kind of morbid, right? Morbid meaning like loving of death. A corrupt kind of love. Joe Biden doesn't have the real kind of love. Fox News reports that, or should I say faux news, Trump also stated it is time for Joe Biden to resign in disgrace for what he has allowed to happen to Afghanistan, along with the tremendous surge in COVID. This makes me wonder if this was Trump's words or somebody else's words, because he called it COVID. Usually he calls it the China virus, but maybe he's in the habit of calling it COVID. Who knows? So the tremendous surge in COVID, the border catastrophe, Trump is calling out, Joe Biden's border catastrophe, and the destruction of energy independence, good point, and our crippled economy. Fair points, all of them, because Sleepy Joe was for the lockdowns, extended lockdowns, and all these ridiculous mask and stuff mandates. But anyway, back in April, Trump had stated, I made early withdrawal possible by already pulling much of our billions of dollars in equipment out of Afghanistan, right? And more importantly, this is his claims, reducing our military presence to less than 2,000 troops from the 16,000 level that was there. Likewise in Iraq. And 0 troops in Syria except for the area where we kept the oil. That's what he claimed in an email to supporters back in April, Trump says. So he did all he can to help Biden make it happen, but Biden couldn't finish. He's a choker. He's a choker. He choked. Skip was saying, oh, James, I don't think, apparently Jesse didn't have that talk with you about your music. Let me get to Dean in North Carolina. Sliders. Some of you guys are excited about this TV show called Sliders from the 90s. Was it the 90s? Dean in North Carolina, how are you doing, man?
Excellent, bro. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you.
Right on. Right on. No, I was just episode 6. You know where they slide into that parallel universe where like all the women have taken over, and like in the beginning they go to like this like newspaper stand, they look up at the TV and they see Hillary Clinton as like president.
Whoa. I don't know them by episode. You know episode 6. Have you like rewatched it recently?
No, I just go look on YouTube, look at the reviews. I was like, I remember as a kid seeing that, and I was like, I'll go back and watch the review on YouTube.
Wow.
And they got like a quick breakdown, like 10 minutes, and they go through the whole episode.
Okay. Wow. So they predicted a Hillary presidency. And was it like
Correct.
a positive thing with women having taken over, or was it negative?
No, they were making men slaves. They were like all up in like and like sex slaves. They were like, you can watch it, you can see like the whole play out of it.
Wow. Terrible.
Not just that, there was like they were on like CEO or corporate positions and running the world and making all the decisions.
Yeah.
But it's good at the end. Like it has a good follow at the end. But obviously, if you want to watch the review, that's on you.
Okay,
but I got
man.
one other thing before I let you go.
All right.
All right. If we've only been 8 miles into the Earth's crust, how do we know it's 400 miles deep?
I don't know. Is that what the idea is? It's 400 miles down into the
Well,
to the
when
core?
you're in school, you know when you're in school or whatever. I remember in school they split the world in half, and they had like a diagram of the world, and it would tell you like
the crust.
400 miles. The crust is 400 miles,
Okay.
and they would go on to all the different layers. So if the Russians have only been 8 miles into the ground with like a 4-inch or 6-inch borehead,
Yeah.
how do they know it's 400 miles deep? That's all I need. That's all I want to know.
That's a fair question. I have no idea. How deep is the deepest part of the ocean or at least the deepest that we've been in the ocean?
It could be. I don't know. It's like way down there.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'm talking about like the Earth's crust. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the Earth's crust, meaning the dirt part, maybe something.
Yeah, exactly. They say it's 400 miles, and the farthest we've been in there is like 8.
Wow. 8. That's pretty. That's really far. That is really far down.
That's 8 miles is really far, bro.
Right.
imagine 400.
Yeah. I have no idea, man. That is an interesting question. Because math.
And when they came up with that diagram,
Emperor of Cats says, "Because math, dude."
Math.
There you go, math.
Awesome. Right on. Hey.
Are you a flat earther or a ball-tard or agnostic?
I don't think about things like that, bro.
Yeah.
I try not to because it's just why.
Yeah,
it don't matter which way, one way or another.
It's kind of a waste of time to.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun to wonder about reality.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Interesting, man. Well, thank you, Dean. Appreciate that.
Yeah, bro.
Take care.
No worries.
Bye. Huh. Yeah, Sliders. They would go into... Sliders, according to Lin Yan Chin, was a 1990s sci-fi series about the grown-up actor from My Secret Identity, an 80s series, being tossed through parallel dimensions, also known as alternate timelines, or as modern fools say, different universes. Huh. Well, I appreciate that tip, guys. And I did watch it. I remember they would jump into these like wormhole things, or whatever those things were called. The United States is preparing to accommodate thousands of Afghan refugees in the coming days, per the Epoch Times, on American military installations while evacuating Americans from the country now controlled by the Taliban terrorist group. We want to have the capacity to get up to several thousand immediately and want to be prepared for the potential tens of thousands, says Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby, told Fox News on Sunday. Forts Bliss and McCoy. Fort Bliss, that sounds like it's in America. And McCoy, that sounds like it's in America. They're using the military bases for everything but the military. Weren't they using the military bases for the illegal aliens coming in here? Fort Bliss is a military base. Sure enough, El Paso, Texas. Fort McCoy is in Wisconsin. Oh, there you go. Like what you guys just said. Wisconsin and Texas. American citizens would not always be prioritized over Afghan special immigrant visas, according to Kirby. At least that's what he implied. Once we get more airlift out of Kabul, we're going to put as many people on those planes as we can. There will be a mix, not just American citizens, perhaps some Afghan civ applicants, special immigrant visa, as well. Not just Americans first, then civ applicants. We're going to focus on getting as many folks out as we can. Getting out in a panic. It's not just the speed with which the Taliban, it's that they are threatening supposedly our people. Do we want those people? I don't know. What a mess. Why don't they stay there and fight it out? Except for the people who were sent there against their will, maybe. Your music, my Amerifro, where Jesse put dat stay soft fro, says Lin Yen Chin with a Trovo colorful chat. Before I get to more callers, hang tight, guys. Yeah, where did JLP put that stay soft fro? There's one line open, guys. Hang tight. Half gas can, says Lin Yen Chin with the Trovo colorful chat, is proof that you humanitarian peoples who so happen to also have the highest percentage of innovators must keep stern hand over us uplifted, quote unquote, POC, people of color, or you will see us rapidly return to our true nature. Now y'all imported us into your homelands, endangered your women, children, and future. Yeah. He's referring to whites as being innovators and humanitarians. But we must keep a stern hand. But we don't have any sternness because we're woman-led. Biden is woman-led. And evil, by the way. And a snake. Brandon M. says Texas is getting around 400 Afghanis this week. They have records of all the Afghanis who helped the U.S. They're going to go door to door. They're already going door to door. Apparently over there to be like, oh, come to America. Do it. Some quick super chats from Streamlabs, guys. Real fast. Single mom doing her best. Gave a super chat on streamlabs.com/the Hake Report. You go into the internet, web browser. I'm explaining it for the boomers and Gen X. And you type in Streamlabs, all one word. Stream, S-T-R-E-A-M, Labs, L-A-B-S, all one word. Streamlabs.com/the Hake Report, all one word. Because some people really wanted to give super chats. That's why I'm saying it. All right. And so, but they didn't know how. And hopefully it works. Justice S was saying it wasn't working always. Single mom doing her best says, I'm kicking myself for not being able to attend church in Orlando, Florida. I feel like I missed a once-in-a-decade opportunity. You don't know that. Don't let Satan lie to you. I've been caught up with home duties and wasn't able to make it. Martha, you are worried and upset about many things, but only one thing is needed. Jesus said to Martha when her sister Mary was not helping Martha with the home duties. Mary was just sitting at Jesus' feet, enjoying, listening to Jesus. But only one thing is needed, Martha. So maybe single mom doing her best. I don't know, maybe you're supposed to stay home and do your duties. Don't worry about it. Don't have regret. But thank you for the super chat. I'm sure there will be other chances. Anyway, we have the internet, right? But thank you, that's cool. Peter from Periscope says, which airline did you take to Florida? Was the long ride comfortable? Yeah, it was fairly comfortable, and I took the Delta variant. Thank you, Peter from Periscope. Will gave a super chat. on streamlabs.com/the Hake Report and said, do you think Andrew Yang could be, he said this to JLP too, but thank you for fairly generous super chat, Will. Do you think Andrew Yang could be an unexpected good rice president to Trump next election? He can help secure more of the libertarian and Asian vote. Yeah, like the Asians are they're still like not even they're not even 5% of the country, dude. You probably live in San Francisco, so you think the Asians are so. Let me see. Asian population percentage in America. Oh my gosh, they have exploded. In 2018, Asian Americans comprised 5.4% of the U.S. population, including multiracial so-called Asian Americans. That percentage increases to 6.5%. In 2019, yeah, it might include Indians from India. Probably so. In 2019, the estimated number of Asian Americans was 22.9 million. Wow. When I was in high school, it was not even 5%. It might have been, way back in 1999, 1998. It was not even 5%. Although they did have a significant portion of our school. What a mess. So, yeah, I guess if you want to pay attention to that Asian vote. But Andrew Yang is evil, a woman at heart. I'd rather have Mike Pence than yeah, it may even include some of those Middle Easterners. I sometimes jokingly called Andre, who was Armenian, or is Armenian, right? An Asian. He's like, I'm not Asian. I'm white, or I'm white mixed with the Turkish blood or whatever. Those Armenians. No, I do not think Andrew Yang could be an unexpected good rice president to Trump next election. But thank you for the question. Maybe he can repent, but I don't have high hopes on that. He's shown no signs. Am I right? Andrew Yang. He's a commie. He needs to go back to Taiwan. He's an anchor baby. His parents were born in Taiwan, and they came here as students. And then he's an anchor baby here in America. What a mess. Let me quickly get to Jovi out of New York City. Jovi, first-time caller. How are you doing?
Yes, good afternoon.
Afternoon. Evening. Morning.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just want to know, is there really a left wing and a right wing? Because I heard you earlier say Democrats and rhinos, and I'm just thinking to myself, well, aren't all these Republicans rhinos?
Practically all of them are, yeah.
Yeah, and Mike Pence is one of the biggest ones.
You think he's one of the biggest rhinos?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when you saw what happened on January 6th and they were looking for Pence, if Pence wasn't a rhino, I'm pretty sure he could face that crowd. Doesn't matter how big.
It wasn't the crowd it wasn't his running from the crowd that disappointed me about Pence. I felt that he should have tried to do what Trump wanted him to do.
But Trump is no better. I don't know why everyone thinks that, we should have a Republican and Democratic Party to, this duopoly to, run the country.
We shouldn't have a Democrat Party. We should not have a Democrat Party. But evil is always going to be with us.
Or a Republican Party.
The Republican Party is pretty corrupt, too. I realize that.
It's always been corrupt, to be honest. I mean, even in the 80s.
You may well be right. They may have been worse.
The Bolsheviks took over the conservative movement in the 70s. I think it was Billy Crystal. He was hanging out with Roger Stone and orgies and stuff like that. Come on,
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. You don't want to be. You don't want to be spreading rumors about stuff that you don't know to be true.
Roger Stone is a swinger. We know that. I don't know how he's on.
I don't know. I don't know about that, but there's definitely. I don't like to spread out nasty rumors about other men. There's enough nasty rumors about other men amongst the evil people. You don't want to turn to evil and start to spread nasty rumors about other men, even if they are evil. Pence, says Tex-Mex, should have had faith in God and did the right thing. SMH. Trump was like, I hope he does the right thing. And to this day, I don't think that Trump and Pence agree. He claims that Trump is no better. I don't know.
To this day.
I don't know. But thank you. Thank you for the call, Jovi. There are, Hake is scared of the truth, says Danny. It's just a little dirty to be spreading out that stuff. And then you get the feeling that these people are not about having a conversation, but about putting out stuff that they want. Let me get to Jeremiah in Louisiana. How are you doing, Jeremiah? What's up?
Hey, what's up, Hank?
Nothing much.
I wanted to elaborate a little bit on what we were discussing the other day. You said, why is it important if Jesus was black or white?
I didn't say if Jesus is black or white.
You said when I said when Jesus was white, or when you asked what's one of the things that Jesse says that's not true.
Yeah.
And I said Jesus is white. You said, well,
Jesse doesn't say Jesus is white.
I started talking. I said, we were talking at the same time. I think I was saying that you were saying Jesus was brown, but you asked at the same time, why is it so important?
And then I corrected myself
to
olive.
White or black. Right. But at the same time, you asked, why is it so important if Jesus is white or black?
I didn't say white or black.
Okay, Hank.
I don't know any white who thinks that Jesus is white, but I know a whole lot of blacks who think that Jesus is black.
Okay, Hank. Now, you also say about race.
Do you know any whites who think Jesus is white?
Yeah, I do.
Name one.
You may play around about it, but you say it. And
I do not say it.
Mention race. You also mention race.
So if you're not black, you're white. Is that what it is in your mind?
No, it's not. No, it's nationality. But who invented race?
Who invented race?
Yeah,
beats me, man. I didn't know that race was invented. So God? God did?
I thought God invented nationality. Who invented race?
I don't even know if God invented nationality. I think he let the men do it.
It was this. I can't remember the guy's name, but he was Caucasian, and he invented race. He invented the Caucasian race.
Is that in the Bible?
You can look it up. It's a guy he was Caucasian. He invented Caucasian. He invented race. He absolutely invented race. This is documented.
So this is why in your mind. I'll let Jovi go, Nick.
No.
This is why in your mind that it matters what race Jesus was?
Because
Jesus wasn't white or black. He was
so-called
olive.
white people invented race. So-called white people invented race, right?
No.
So
God did.
God created nationality.
It says you.
Race.
God created the people, and the people are the different races.
The reason why it's
Get to the point, Israelite.
The reason why it's so important is because it says, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free, right?
That's why it's so important?
If it wasn't true, why would your forefathers make him white? Who changed the truth of God into a lie?
No white person made Jesus white.
Who changed the truth? Yes, Michelangelo painted Jesus white.
No, he didn't.
In the Renaissance, yes, he did.
No,
the Renaissance era,
nope.
He painted Jesus to be white. He painted Jesus to be Pope.
False.
He wanted to impress the
False.
Pope. So he
By the way, Michelangelo was black.
He painted Caesar.
Was Michelangelo black?
He painted Caesar Borgia.
Was Michelangelo black?
Oh, so Michelangelo's black now. So that's what we're saying? That's what we're going with it?
Because you're so insane, might as well call everybody black. Everybody who's great is black.
No.
Who's smarter, you or Michelangelo?
Blacks did live in Italy. Blacks did live in Greece.
Who's smarter, you or Michelangelo?
Was a so-called Caucasian.
Who's smarter, you or Michelangelo?
The reason why
I'm getting away because he doesn't want to have a conversation. What's up with these guys who are hung up on their phony knowledge? Wanting to push their mess. Science has proven there is one race, says Slappy McButterballs. I don't know, man. I think the races are, there's blacks, there's whites, there's Asians, and maybe there's reds. There was a debate that I witnessed between a couple of the guys. There's 3 races. No, there's 12 races. What a mess. What a mess. Let me talk with Scott in Columbus, Ohio. It is Men's History Month. That's why I've been playing the awesome punk rock music, because punk rock, what's more manly than punk rock? I'm totally kidding. I realize that punk rock is beta. But anyway, Scott in Columbus, Ohio, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing, sir?
Doing well, thank you.
It was a pleasure meeting everyone yesterday or the other day at church.
Yeah. So you came to the men's conference and to the church with Jesse the Peterson
I
in
went
Orlando.
to the church. I didn't have enough money to spend on the conference.
Oh,
at
okay.
the time.
All right. Well, thanks for coming to church anyway. That's cool.
No, yeah, not a problem. It was a great opportunity to meet everybody and see faces. And, you know, when I was, like, getting my coffee, I heard someone say Skip, and I'm like, wait, that's Skip?
Yep.
You know, so that was pretty cool. So the reason why I called was it's called The Book Less Traveled or something like that by Scott Peck, MD. And it was the first book I read as a young man, about 14 years old.
The Road Less Traveled.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's a great book, and I would suggest people reading it or to go pick it up, read it, and check it out for yourself.
Okay. He is a psychiatrist. Is that a good thing?
I understand what you're saying, but like when I was a young boy, I wanted to, you know, learn some things and, you know, just not do what other people did when they're that age, about 14 years old. So.
Okay. And is it true he wrote a different dirty book?
I don't know, but he also wrote a book about the children of the lie or something like that. So
really?
I kind of like the guy. Yeah, you should check it out. It was like
I appreciate it.
20 years after I read that, the first book, he wrote the Children of the Lie or something like that.
People of the Lie.
Yeah, something like that. Whatever it was.
Okay.
But you get my point. Like, I'm not reading.
Oh,
all this stuff.
he was supposedly in the Christian psychology movement, according to the very trustworthy Wikipedia.
Okay. Well,
born
I
in
didn't know his...
1936, died in 2005 at the tender age of 69. But he was a psychiatrist. Interesting, man. And he was married to one Lily Ho from 1959, divorced. Whoa. In 2004. Then he married Kathleen Klein Yates Peck.
One thing I do want to say about the book that I'm recommending people read is that he started off trying to prove that God didn't exist. Then he ended up believing that God did exist.
Okay.
So, like, you got to check it out. And
interesting.
Like Jesse says, don't hold on to the knowledge. Just read it and just take it for what it is. So.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it, man. Thank you for the tip. I know that that book is a well-known book, The Road Less Traveled. And there's a Robert Frost poem called The Road Not Taken. Is that the case?
I believe so, yeah. That sounds familiar.
Yeah. Interesting, man. Well, thank you for the tip. The Men's History Month contribution. He was a male. It may have even been a man. Who knows? Weird marriage situation. Looks like he married a year before he remarried a year before he died. Divorced and remarried the year before. Maybe that's why he died. What a mess. Yeah. At the age of 69 in Connecticut. Maybe she killed him.
Can I?
Yeah, go for it.
Can I come up with another question?
Yeah, go for it.
Maybe for Jeremiah, next time he calls in, ask him about why is there slavery in heaven. You can look in Revelations, and if you call Jesus Lord, that's the answer. Is there slavery in heaven? I would say yes, because when you call Jesus Lord,
that means we are slaves of Christ. You know what?
Servants.
Some of those guys, some of those Israelites, think that the whites will be the slaves of the blacks in heaven. They're a mess, though.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, have a great day, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Scott. Appreciate you. Thank you for the Men's History Month contribution. M. Scott Peck, guys. Look into it.
Thanks again.
Maybe enlightening. Thank you, man. Take care. Wow. Let me talk to Skip in Augusta, Georgia. He wants to talk about Jesus' race. Skip, how are you doing? Go for it.
I'm doing good, Hake. Look at here, that guy. He's so into whether Jesus is black or Jesus is white. Well, he must have missed that big debate that they had between the black preacher and the white preacher, and they said the question was, is God black or white? And the white preacher said, he stood up first. He said, God is white. And then that black preacher stood up and said, how you know God's black or God's white? He said, if God would have been black, he would have said, I is what I is.
Right.
And that settled it right there. And there was no more debates about God and Jesus.
Because God said, I am what I am.
That's right. I am what I am. Not I is what I is.
Right. Very nice, Skip.
Yeah, check up on those.
Yeah.
All right. That's all I wanted, Hake.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Happy Men's History Month to you.
Happy Men's History Month to you too, James.
All right. Yeah. But Jeremiah's reasoning for being all into the race mess is the truth will set you free. Does he sound like a free man to you? I don't think so. Ricky, also known as Dr. ADD, ATD, out of Stockton, California. What's up, Ricky? How are you?
Hey, how's it going, man?
Going well. Thank you. It's great to hear from you.
Yeah, I wanted to break it up a little bit from all the racist bullshit you're dealing with. Sorry
Okay.
for the cuss. But
Sorry for the cuss.
What do you think? The last time we talked, right? You mentioned the first verse or whatever from Genesis, right, where God said, "Let there be light."
Yeah.
Would you mind if I read it for you?
Go for it.
In Genesis 1:14-15, it says, "And God said, Let there be lights in the expanse of the heavens to separate the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. Let them be lights in the expanse of the heavens to give light upon the earth." And it was so.
So that's the stars?
King James one, but
That's the stars in the sky?
yeah,
And
it doesn't even mention the moon.
But it doesn't preclude a moon either. It doesn't say, it doesn't is disclude even a word? It doesn't say that there was no moon.
It doesn't exclude it, right? But
Right.
why would you exclude
There you go.
something
Exclude.
that you have no
Duh.
reference for?
Disclude. Wow. Do I know English? So
But you
you're
know what I
saying,
mean?
are you still thinking that they don't mention the moon specifically until after Noah or something?
Yeah, until after the flood, that's when the moon shows up. And even in the King James version, it doesn't even mention the moon. They talk more about the firmament of the sky and how God brought the light to divide the light from the darkness, rather than mentioning even that there were two separate bodies that provided that light. You know what I mean? He only mentions the one source.
Maybe the message is you don't need to be that concerned about the moon.
That's the same as a flat Earth, man.
Huh?
It's the same as a flat Earth, all that ball tard shit.
You keep on cussing, man. I thought you just said sorry for cussing.
I'm sorry. You had to beat my whole dang thing.
So are you a ball tard or a flat Earth retard?
I don't know.
Sorry, nobody's
I haven't
retarded.
been around the Earth. I haven't been around the Earth. I've only been to Hawaii, and that was all right.
Right. Okay, man. So you're neither. You're agnostic?
I don't know. I'd like to think that it's a sphere. Everything else is a sphere. There's no reason why we shouldn't be a sphere. It makes more work to make it into a flat Earth than it does to say that we have more in common with everything else in the universe. You know what I mean? That makes more
that's
sense.
my sense about it too. That's
right.
my sense about it too.
If you do look at it, you take all that sensibility about how we're round and how we move and we spin, and then you look at the moon and it don't make sense.
Some people say that the moon is concave.
Right? I don't know. It's
But anyway,
it's
to me, it's not that important. It's not something to get all caught up in.
No.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. That's all. I just bring it up to break up the days.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, Ricky. It's great to hear from you.
Oh yeah, man. You try not to have too much fun now out there.
Okay, man. I won't. Take care.
Yep.
One of the callers who just hung up, which is probably for the better. He's all, why do you avoid the J question? What J question do I avoid? You just be sensible about it. I think it's referring to the Jews. Some people realize some things about Jewish people and how like liberal and evil and like in control they are. And it sends them off for some odd reason. Oh, maybe they're talking about Jezebels, says Nick. What a mess. What a terrible mess. Oh my gosh. Speaking of Jezebels, and speaking of Jewish people, isn't Bob Dylan one of those? Bob Dylan is at the center of a hashtag #MeToo case. I don't have any details because I'm truly not interested. It's kind of like I'm not interested in whatever you're into finding out about Roger Stone. But he denies so-called sexually abusing a young girl in, get this, 1965. Holy moly. I'm trying to prevent, Bob Zimmerman, I think is the real name. Thank you, Rob Banks. That's his real name, is Robert Zimmerman, not Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan is or was somewhat like a, what is that thing? Folk singer? What's wrong with these people? I thought this was America, where we have sensible people, not a whole bunch of communists, as our American music makers, right? But it's just a bunch of communists, like evil people. All musicians are liberals, and by liberals, I mean communists. And by communists, I mean enemies of Christians, of what's right, of what's sensible, of what's best for America, they hate white people, they hate men, they think like females, but not the sensible kind. And now he's getting bitten by his own, I don't know if he supported the Me Too movement specifically, but he supported this liberalism stuff, right? Apparently. Did he? I think he did. Now he denies. It's gross to even repeat it. But 1965, how many years ago was this? How many years before you were born, many of you, was 1965? How old was Bob Dylan in 1965? Bob Dylan is 80 years old. He was born in 41. So in 65, he would have been 24, roughly. 23, 24. And, I believe it. Definitely. I just have to hear the story. Yeah, he's guilty. No, I'm kidding. National Post says lawsuit alleges Bob Dylan sexually abused a 12-year-old in 1965. Repeated. Woman alleges Bob Dylan, when she was age 12 in 1965, 2021 minus 1965 is 56 plus 12 is 68. This woman is 67, 68 years old, something like that. And now she wants that money. And she wants, she's probably mentally ill. Probably not able to have kids anymore. 68. 57 years ago, 1965. What's wrong? This is why you don't trust, am I right? You don't trust courts. He was tangled up in blue. I think that's a song. It's a song. Dawning Armor asks, Hake, why do so many Christians seem to mess around with kids? Between Christians, Muslims, and Jews? Very odd. Whatever. Don't act like the atheists are so innocent, Dawning Armor. Man, you guys, you're playing a game with me, Dawning Armor. This is some gross stuff going on in the world. Jimmy, see, don't be spreading these rumors, though, guys. Slappy McButterballs is saying stuff about Jimmy Fallon. It's enough to know that they're supporting evil. You don't have to, like, go into all this mess. Right? But to me, that was a ridiculous headline. Boosters for all. Speaking of indecent, unwanted. Anyway, Lin Yen-chin calls. Let me move on before I get too explicit. Lin Yen-chin calls the vaccine, forced vaccinations specifically. What is a word? What's a good word for it? Sort of a violation. It's a violation. Don't personally violate us. But they want boosters shots for all people. That's what they want. They being the establishment. Lin Yen-chin has a Trovo colorful chat for us, guys. Uncomfortable topics. Lin Yen-chin has a Trovo colorful chat. It says, please have the Prince of Prance, yourself, Sparkle Blouse, it's messed up, and Skateboard White Chris come up with a TQ test. What TQ test means, I don't know. For measuring the thumping quotient of your callers. High thumping equals low IQ, and or IQ that is heavily compromised by emotional constipation, also known as clutter, for your sensitivity. I appreciate that, Lin Yen-chin. Clutter. Nick says you're doing him dirty. Don't be calling him Sparkle Blouse. And he calls Joel Friday the Prince of Prance. And he calls me Lord Good Hair. And he calls Chris Skateboard White Chris. And someone is not exactly happy with the term Skateboard White Chris, asking Lin Yen-chin to please be more creative. But that's an interesting point. Do we have a TQ test for measuring the thumping quotient of the intellectuals? Low IQ and or IQ that's heavily compromised by clutter and pent-up rage and distraction. That's a fair point. Thank you, Lin Yen-chin. And someone, speaking of someone, gave a super chat on streamlabs.com/the Hake Report and said, how come the hate callers will try to make a point, forget a major detail, and then say, look it up when you ask for further proof of their claim? I think that they are just blind, angry, nasty, and evil people on a pride kick. When I call stupid knowledge, I call it that because, as you may know, I call knowledge poison. Because people get all caught up on something that they know. No, not the JQ test, a TQ test, thumper Q. Because you can learn about Jewish people, you can learn about the Bible, you can learn about so-called evolution or the earth or the flat earth or the ball-tarred earth or whatever, and you start thumping it, and you may even be citing accurate information, but it's because you're not awake. You are not awake. That guy who called himself woke on the JQ or whatever, he called himself woke. Anybody who calls himself woke is asleep, dead inside, spiritually dead. It makes you think, all prideful, and think that you are knowledgeable and awake, when in reality, you just know some stuff, and your life is still a mess. We had that caller who was on his way back home, Matt the American from Indiana said, nobody's free here. But freedom starts from within, and then you force your freedom onto the world. And it is kind of force. You have to force it. Because real freedom, I would say, is kind of like when you're a slave to Christ. Then you can't help but doing what's right. Then you're not a slave to Satan. Who would you rather be a slave to? You got to be a slave to somebody. Satan or Jesus, have your pick. At least that's according to the Bible, and it makes some sense to me, I think. And so these people are on a kick, and when you challenge them, it's just because they accept lies. But when other people don't accept lies, they're gonna be a slave to their knowledge that they think is so good, but it's not good. And you know, on the anniversary of 9/11, 2001, 9/11, 2021, ahead of that, they're calling you a terrorist. Calling the American people terrorists. The National Terrorism Advisory System Bulletin. That was put out Friday the 13th of August, 2021. I talked about that in Hake News yesterday at the end of hour 2, and as well as in the Hake Report. So-called Homeland Security, DHS, what a misnomer, issued out a summary of the terrorism threat to the U.S. homeland. Give me a break. And there were 3 warning signs of terroristic behavior, right? One of them was speculation about the election, I think. One of them was being a Christian or religious in any way. And one of them was something else. They talk about race, ethnically motivated violent extremists, anti-government / anti-authority violent extremists. And it's not that we're anti-authority. I'm lumping myself in with these people. I'm not violent, but they're smearing Americans, right? They're calling people extremists who are basically want some decency. The government itself is pretty extreme. If you're pushing LGBT stuff, or if you're pushing the imaginary racism stuff, that's extreme. That's evil. But they're doing it. These are not sensible or decent people in what we call the deep state. Dresden says. I'm not even going to repeat what Dresden says. But it's terrible. There were reportedly thousands of counterfeit China virus vaccination cards from China seized in Tennessee. Can you believe it? Because they're trying to force the vaccines on people, so people are starting to do I completely disavow this practice, by the way, and that's unironic, right? Because it's dumb. Fake vaccine cards so you can participate in the corrupt culture and not be forced to get the messed up vaccine or the vaccine that may not be messed up. Some of them may not be messed up, right? Seized in Tennessee from China, though. Lord does not equal slave master, says name them too. Okay, all right. But the Bible does say we are either slaves of Christ or slaves of Satan, slaves of sin. So the CDC, as you know, they were handing out these flimsy vaccine cards, right? The communists, the globalist socialist communists, want to force you to have it like on your phone or something with an app, because supposedly that's harder to fake than a fake vaccine card. But this was a shipment from Shenzhen, China to New Orleans that contained 51 blank counterfeit vaccination cards, according to Customs and Border Protection. Why not just stop the illegals, buddy? But okay, whatever. The 15th such shipment of the night, according to this statement from Customs and Border Protection. And it was seized in Memphis, Tennessee. It came up through New Orleans. Wow. The FBI stated on March 30th that buying, selling, or using counterfeit China virus vaccination cards is a crime, and violators will face a fine and up to 5 years in prison. Wow! White House Coronavirus Response Coordinator Jeff Zients also said August 13th that it's a crime to falsify China virus vaccination cards amid new restrictions set by several major cities. But they are decriminalizing spreading HIV and AIDS. Have you noticed that? Have you seen that around the country? They're trying to do that because HIV and AIDS is a gay disease. It disproportionately affects the gays, the LGBT IQ madness, especially the ones, the male homosexual offenders, right? And so, this is disproportionately affecting them. And so that's wrong. But this relatively mild disease, oh no, you can't. You have to have a real vaccine card, guys. New York City announced they're mandating vaccine passports at businesses, many businesses, starting next month, and is a growing number of colleges and universities across the country where college students are generally not at risk from this relatively mild thing, at least for them. There are a lot of people, a big surge in fraudulent documents. What a mess. Memphis has made 121 seizures, totaling over 3,000 of these fake cards. They're always from China. It's funny. What a mess. What a mess. Biden is pushing for, it's not just college students that are getting their rights violated. It is regular students. Biden is thanking school superintendents for defying the state bans by the great, or is he great? Governor DeSantis, Ron DeSantis, and the great wannabe rhino, probably, governor, what's that guy's name? From Texas. The guy who's wheelchair bound. Abbott, Greg Abbott. Those guys don't want young children to be forced to wear a mask, and Biden is thanking the people who are going out of their way to defy the state bans on mask mandates. Evil, huh? Sleepy Joe. What an evil person. And I heard that he's looking to force the mask thing on everybody. He's commended a pair of school superintendents from Florida and Arizona. Oh, Arizona too, for enacting mask mandates in defiance of statewide bans, according to the White House. What a mess. Vicky Cartwright, of course, a woman who is the interim superintendent of Broward County Public Schools. Broward County is where they did the March Against Our Lives, right? And who's guesting? Chad Gestson, superintendent of Phoenix Union High School. Probably not a Christian. Anyway, guys, what a mess. Biden is not running the country. Downvote. Thank you. Anyway, guys, one more. Let's end on a positive note. Can we end on a positive note? A nonsense song from 121. It's 11 already, just about. Thank you for joining us. Enjoy 121, Ship Rocks Disaster. I don't know if it's talking about America or if it's just a nonsense song, but enjoy it, and I'll be back tomorrow, hopefully. Thanks, guys, and take care. Here's 121.
Ship Rocks Disaster.